Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Benjamin. Welcome to another GameMaker tutorial. So for this tutorial, we're going to be doing a card game using a data structure called a DS stack. And it's going to teach you how stacks work and also teach you how you might set up basics for a card-like game, how you might handle deck management and drawing cards and putting cards on the deck and stuff like that. So let me actually show you what it's going to look like. Let me run my sample file here. And you can see I've got these cards here with basic graphics. And I've got a deck over here. And when I drag over, let's say I drag over this green card, so I've got the green one and place it on the deck. And then I grab the red one, place it on the deck. And I grab the blue one and place it on the deck. You can see I've got the three cards there, but if I take a card off the top of the deck, it's the blue one, and then the red one, and then the green one. So it's the opposite order in which I put it into the deck. So the last card that I put into the deck is actually the first card that comes out of the deck. So it's a last in, first out data structure. So let me show you how you can program that now. And this is actually one of the examples that I use in my book, the GameMaker book that I'm writing. And there's a link in the description if you want to go check that out. So let's do sprite. Let's add a few sprites here. First one we're going to do is sprite card back. And this will just be the back of our cards. I'm going to make this 32 wide and we're going to give it a height of, well, let's make it 48 wide, 48 pixels wide, a height of 64. Looks pretty good. I'm just going to give it a black outline like this and then grab kind of a brown color. This is the back of our card, so not very saturated, kind of lighter. Boom. Here's the back of our cards. Nothing too fancy there. And I'm going to center the origin on it. Now I'm going to duplicate that and call this sprite card red. I'll duplicate, not yet actually. And I'm just going to come in and I'm going to add another, I'm going to add a square onto this, which is just going to be a red color. Like that, I guess. And color, well, I don't necessarily want that white. Maybe just a really light tan, like that. Cool. There's our red card with a square on it. I'm going to duplicate that. Sprite card green. Edit this one. And let's grab there. I'm just going to make this a triangle, I guess. I'm not going to do these too fancy. You guys will... Oops. That's not what I meant to do. Man, daylight savings in the US is killing me. I'm like exhausted. Okay, so we've got our green card. Looking good. Duplicate. Sprite card blue. We're going to edit this one. And we'll just make this a circle. If you hold shift, you can get a perfect circle. So you don't get an oval. It's a little off-centered, but whatever. Okay, now I'm going to have another one of these. I'm going to copy the card back, and we'll call this sprite deck. And I'm going to edit, well, I'm going to copy this first of all. In the first one, I'm going to pull my opacity all the way down and paint this. Make sure you set it to replace as well. And paint this blank like that. And what that's going to do is that's going to make it so it looks like the deck doesn't have any cards in it. And just to add to that feeling that there's no cards in the deck, I put the opacity back up. And let's do this one so that it doesn't draw the thing. I'm going to put a circle with a cross through it. This means no cards in the deck. Okay, this is one card right here. Now we're going to copy this. And we're going to draw just a black line right there. That's 2 cards. Now I'm going to copy that and draw a black line right there. 3 cards. And that's probably good for now. Sweet. So we've got our deck. We've got all of our different card sprites. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create an object and call this object deck. And let's create all of our objects. So let's create the deck. Now we're going to create a card. All the cards are going to be the same. Object card. And then we're going to create one more object called a drag controller. Object drag controller. There we go. So we've got all the objects we need. Let's create a room. Make the width 640, the height 360, and that background's fine. We're not going to change anything with it. We'll just call it room, rm_room. Okay. Now for the deck, we're going to assign our deck sprite. For the card, we're going to assign the red card sprite for now. And the drag controller doesn't need a sprite. Go back into our room and let's place our deck over here on the right hand side. Let's place 3. Well, whatever. Let's place 3. Let's place 3 cards in the room and place the drag controller. So you can see I've got the deck, 3 cards, and the drag controller. Now we're going to actually start programming. So open up the deck. Add a create event, and inside this create event we're going to create the stack, and we're going to control the sprite index for the deck. So create the stack. So image index equals 0, just because we want it to be empty right now. Our deck is empty. Image speed equals 0, because we don't want it to cycle through those images unless we're actually adding cards to the deck. So we're going to set the image speed to 0. And then we're going to create a variable called deck. And we're going to assign a ds stack to this variable. We're going to do that by creating one. Ds stack create. There we go. We've created a stack. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a trick here. Add a step event. What we're going to do is we're going to control the image index. Now you can see in our deck we have, oh, that's the card back. I was like, oh no. In our deck we have 0, 1, 2, 3. We've got up to 3 images, right? Starting at 0 goes all the way to 3. So 4 total images, but the value for each one is different than the total because it starts at 0. So the maximum image index we could have is 3. So we're going to control that. We're going to do control the deck image, and we're going to do this by doing image index equals min. So the minimum value of these two, which means the first value we're going to pass is a 3, because if our other value goes higher than 3, then it's going to default to 3, which is good because we do not want it to go higher than 3 ever, because we don't have an image for higher than 3. 3 is the last image in our image index right here. You can see that. So we never want it to go higher than 3. That's why we're using a min here. The other thing we're going to pass into this is the size of our ds stack. So you can just, let's do var deck underscore size equals ds stack size. Now this is a variable that you can call on a ds stack, and you pass in the stack, which is what we created in the create event, which was deck. Okay, and that's going to get the size of the stack data structure and return it into this variable. And then we're going to throw that variable into here and call it deck underscore size. That way, if we have 0 cards in the deck, then what's our image index going to be? It's going to be 0, right? Which is right here, an empty image. So it's going to work if we have 1 card in the deck, it's going to be 1 all the way up to 3. But then if we go higher than 3, if we add more cards to the deck, then we have images, then it's just going to stay at 3, which is fine. So now what we're going to do is we need a left pressed event. So add event mouse left pressed. And this is going to control removing a card from the deck. Okay, so drag over a code, remove the card from the deck. Now, because our cards, the only information that we have about the card is its image, because all of our cards are going to be the exact same card except they're going to have different images. So because of that, the only thing we need to store in the deck is the image of the card. So when we remove the card, it's going to, from the deck, it's actually just going to need to create a card and then assign the image that was stored in the deck. So ds stack size deck is greater than 0. So just make sure we actually have something in the deck before we try and remove anything. If it is, let's do top card. So we're going to create a new card. So equals instance create xy object card. Okay, so we're creating a new card because there technically aren't cards in the deck. There's just images. So we need to create a card that we can assign the image to. Var card sprite equals ds stack pop. So this is an important thing about stacks, and there's two main functions, which is pop and push. When you pop from the stack, it removes the top element from the stack. When you push to the stack, it puts a new element onto the stack. Think of it as a Pez dispenser, okay? If you've ever heard of a Pez dispenser, the little toys that have the Pez candy in them. Or maybe, maybe sometimes plates at a restaurant are in a stack like this. In a Pez dispenser, if you get the candy from the top, it pops off the top. But when you put a new one in, you have to push it down. So that's kind of the same concept. I might be doing a little bit of overkill. Whoops. I just wrote the wrong word there. Okay. I might have been doing a little bit of overkill for explaining how stacks work, but I want to make sure you understand because it is important there. So this video is no longer G-rated. Okay. Let's do top card dot sprite index equals card sprite. So what that's doing is we're just the value, which is the image that we had stored in the deck. We're just going to assign that image to the new card that we've created. That's all we're doing there. Card equals top card dot depth equals -1. So card is actually a global variable that will create, I guess technically we should probably, you can use global variables that don't need the global in front of them, but just for clarity's sake, oops, I'm going to put it in front because it'll make it more understandable. This is a global variable, and this is used in our drag controller. Okay, we're actually done with the deck now. All we need to do now is program the cards and the drag controller. So let's do the drag controller first because it's a really easy one. So add an event, add a create event for our drag controller, and let's do init. It's the drag controller. Global.card equals no one. There we go. Created our global card variable that you just saw us use. Now let's add a step event. And here, move the card. If card is not equal no one, so we want to make sure, except this should be global.card. So we want to make sure we actually have a card assigned to this variable. If we do, with global.card x equals mouse x, y equals mouse y. So if we have a global card assigned, then make it follow the mouse. Change event, we'll probably want this in the end step, actually. Make it a little snappier. Okay. Oh yeah, it is in the end step. In my source, I just accidentally put it in the step event. Okay, now we're going to add a create event into our card. Now, this should be pretty easy. Choose the sprite. We just want it to have a random sprite. So sprite index equals choose. I'm going to maximize this because it goes off the screen kind of. Sprite card red, sprite card green, sprite card blue. There we go. So our card will basically start out a random color. Now add a left pressed event. Add event mouse left pressed. This is a simple code as well. Pick up the card. Now this doesn't pick it up off the deck, this just picks it up from the room. So global.card equals ID and depth equals -1. That'll just make it go on top of the other cards when we're dragging it around. Yeah, that works. Okay. Now let's go to the left pressed event. Or sorry, add an event, mouse, left released. So this is for when we drop the card, and this is going to be slightly more complicated. Drop the card, but still not too bad. Because we're going to have to check to see if we're over the deck, and if we are over the deck, then we want to drop the card on the deck, right? Which is going to be pushing the sprite index to the stack. So if position, meeting mouse x, mouse y. I love it when I spell mouse wrong. At least I didn't spell deck wrong again. Object deck with object deck. So if we are over the deck, then ds stack push, remember, push and pop. So we're going to push to the deck, card dot, or let's see, global dot card dot sprite index. I hope I can do that. Okay, good. I was gonna say, if I can't, man, GameMaker, you really need to work on chaining. Because it can't chain like DS maps easily, which is, I mean, you can't change accessors That's a completely different topic, but it's frustrating for me. So with card instance destroy. There we go. Okay. So if we are over the deck, then add our sprite into the data structure that is the deck, and then destroy the actual card because we've stored the information we need about the card, which is just the sprite. Then we need to do global.card equals no one because the card's gone now, and we need to set its depth equals, well, no, if we've destroyed it, then if we've destroyed it, then this sets the global variable back to no one, and it won't really do anything with the depth. I mean, it'll set the card's depth back to 0 because technically it'll continue executing this event before it actually destroys the card. So these things will still happen, but it won't really matter because it's going to destroy it right after. So now we should be done. Let's run the game, see how things went. So we've got our cards. We can drag them around. We've got our deck here. I'm going to drag the red card onto the deck with card. Oh, I knew I was going to do that. So go into the cards, left released. It should be global. You guys probably saw that. Maybe not. It should be global card. Let's save it, run it again. So let's drag the red one. Boom, it's in the deck. Drag the green one, it's in the deck as well. Drag the other green one. Now what was the order we put them in? Red, green, green. So if we take them off, it should be green, green, and then red. And there you go. That's how a stack works. That's how you could handle dragging in a game, is like that. Interesting that doesn't come in front of it like that. Something's wrong with my depth still. I have to figure that out. But anyways, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to teach you guys how a stack works. And just remember that it's just like a deck of cards. The last one that you put down is the first one that you take off. But a stack can be used for more things than just cards, right? It can be used for multiple things in your game. And so you can store anything you want into it. I decided to store sprite indexes into the stack because that's what I decided to do. But you could store objects in the stack. You could store numbers in the stack. You can store whatever you want. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something from this video and that it was helpful. Be sure and like, favorite, and subscribe. Check out my Facebook page. Check out the links in the description. Got links down there. And I will be recording a Let's Pixel video this Thursday, and then I'll continue the 3D Magic RPG series this Saturday. So you can be ready for those videos, and I will talk to you guys later.